All right, the purpose of this video is to, go over the project. Well, project part one and project part two and three and four are pretty similar as you're going to see. But let's go over project part one because there's a new moon coming up. I'll send an announcement when the new moon occurs, so you'll know that. All right, so if you scroll down to where project part one is. All right, so there's the due date right there. All right, so let's take a look at project part one. First thing that you want to do with project part one is you're going to get your cell phone and find this this app. It's called Skyview Lite. Okay, so it's a free app. Just download it, and what you do is you'll be able to take your cell phone when you run the app. And there's a thing that don't buy the full version. You don't need the full version. Okay, that's not. This is just a nice free thing to use to look at the night sky and identify different things about the night sky. One of the things that you're going to be able to do is obviously you'll know where the moon is. That's not a problem. But you're going to take a picture of the moon, right? That's what project part one is, right? That's where, for example, not just any picture of the moon. I'll be more specific about it. But in this first part, you're going to take 4 pictures of the moon at different times during what's called the waxing crescent phase, and then what you're going to do is you're going to turn that in, right? You're going to turn it in, and you're going to answer some questions as well on the. So see, there's a Word document right here that I don't know why there's 2 of them. I'll make sure that goes away, but it should just be one Word document. Anyhow. So the pictures count as 40 points for this first one, and then the Word document counts as here. Let's take a quick look at it. We'll have that open up. All right. So the pictures count as 40%. The answer in these questions and completing this and submitting it will be the other 60 points. So total for this project part one, which involves the first phase, the waxing crescent moon. So this is the basic idea of what you're going to do, and I'll talk about what a waxing crescent is in a moment. You're going to look at the crescent, look at your picture, and you're going to estimate what percentage of the moon is illuminated. For example, okay, if you're talking about a full moon, it would be 100%. If it's a first quarter moon, that would be 50%. First quarter, half of the moon is illuminated. And you got to talk about whether the east side or the west side of the moon is illuminated when you're looking at it. And then see that app that I mentioned, that's where you're going to put what constellation it is, right? So you're going to put, you're going to put what the day is, Anyhow, you're going to put all this information in here, and then make sure you're going to submit those four pictures in the. I'll show you how. I'll mention how to do that in just a little bit. It's exactly the way you turn your labs in, right? It's the same idea. All right, but you're doing this on the lecture side. Anyhow, so the basic idea here is you're going to use two pictures. So like pictures 1 through 3 are they're basically 3 different pictures, like just a day or 2 apart of the waxing crescent moon, and then whichever one, like let's say for example, your third picture right here. Your third picture is, um, let's say you estimate that 25% of the moon is illuminated that night. All right. So you're going to look to the next phase. All right. So when the next month comes along, and when the next month comes along, you want to find, so you don't, it doesn't have to be this third picture. It could be the second picture. It could be the first, but you want to complete. You want to find a day on the next phase where it's about the same as one of these, right? So, if this one right here was, 50%, or sorry, not 50%, because that wouldn't be a waxing crescent. But let's say it was, we'll use this one. If this one was 25%, and then this one was also 25%, but the next phase, how many days occurred between picture 4 and picture 2? And so that should be, so that's what this is down here. If it's one complete cycle, that should be 29 and a half days. So you're going to measure the number of days in your lunar cycle that you actually used. Take the absolute value of the number of your days minus 29.5, and then the absolute value of that divided by 29.5. And so that's going to be your estimated percent error. Right? That's the basic idea. All right, then answer these questions, and you're going to submit it just like you submit your laboratories. Okay, so here, now let me go to, all right, so I'm going to use the rest of the time to basically just go over this, we're going to encounter this later in the semester, but since we're doing this project on the phases of the moon, you want to understand the phases of the moon. So here we go. So the phases of the moon, one complete phase is called a sidereal month, just to let you know. And the phases themselves are called a synodic month. Okay, so don't worry about the sidereal thing. That's a little bit more involved. All right. So anyhow, the reason for the synodic month, or the phases of the moon, all the phases of the moon, is the changing angle between the moon, the earth, and the sun. Right. There's the moon. Of course, here's our earth, and the sun. We're going to represent it as, these rays of light coming in from the left, right? So on the new moon, so the thing to understand is the moon usually does not block the sun, right? Like, the moon shadow. Let me just show you that real quick. So the moon shadow this is the usual thing. The moon shadow is cast out into space. It's always there, but on a new moon, see, the moon's orbit is tilted with respect to the Earth by about 5 degrees. So usually there's no eclipse, right? There's only an eclipse when the moon's shadow touches the Earth, or the moon passes through the Earth's shadow. And because of this tilt, that usually doesn't happen. When it does happen, that's when you get an eclipse. And of course, this side is this is a solar eclipse, and you have to be exactly in the path of that. And this one is a lunar eclipse, which, half the Earth can see at once. This one, you have to be in the actual path of the moon. All right, let's go back to this. All right, so let's say a new moon occurs. It's not an eclipse or anything like that, but there's a new moon. That just means the moon is in the same portion of the sky as the sun. So the sun sets, and there's no moon. You won't be able to see a moon. That's why I don't have you taking a picture that day. All right. A day or so after the new moon, all right, there is going to be what's called a waxing crescent. All right. That's what we're concentrating on. The waxing crescent, that's for project 1. The waxing crescent is going to take place. It takes about a week to go from new moon to what's called the first quarter. Now, don't take a picture of the first quarter. Not yet, anyway. That's for project part 2. All right. So, so project part 2 is going to be the first quarter to the what's called the wax and gibbous. Project part 3 is from full moon to the waning gibbous, and then the last project is from third quarter through the waning gibbous. All right, so waxing just means the night after the next night, the moon will be more illuminated. You'll have more of the moon that you can see, and this is what I want you to show me in the pictures, right? So you're going to take a picture of the moon. You go out the next day or the day after that, you take another picture of the moon. And of course, it depends on what the weather is. So if the weather is bad, right? This is why we're using, several synodic months to allow ourselves for the possibility that the weather's going to be bad. All right, but it's rarely bad for an entire week, where you can't see the moon at all. All right, so you're going to go out, you take a picture of the moon about a day, maybe 2 days or so after the new moon, and then it'll be a waxing crescent. And then, so that's picture 1. Then there's picture 2, maybe a day later, another day after, 2 days later, and then so before it gets to the first quarter, you take 3 pictures. All right, so then, if you wanted to, you could take a picture of the first quarter and the waning gibbous. You could do this all in 1 month. It actually, the project itself will take 2 months, right? So let's just think about project part 1. You've taken 3 pictures, and let's say right when the moon was right about here, you noticed that about 25% of it was illuminated, so half of a half was illuminated. And so what you want to do for the 4th picture is, you choose any of your pictures to do this, you wait an entire month for that to happen again. And so you're going to count the number of days between, let's say that this was picture 2, and then when picture 4 occurs. So how many days was that? And you're going to compare that to a synodic month, which of course is 29 and a half days. I mean, it just repeats over and over and over. All right. So, I will say more. Well, I guess I should say a little something about. All right. So the gibbous is, so this only occurs for 1 day. All right. So after the waxing crescent, right? Waxing is the crescent is increasing. You get to what's called first quarter, and notice in first quarter you have 90 degrees between the sun, the earth, and the moon. All right. So the moon will be kind of in the middle of the sky when that occurs. All right. So this is more for project part 2. All right. And then a day after that, so this one only occurs 1 day a month. This one occurs only 1 day a month, 1 day a month for the full moon, 1 day a month for the new moon. And then it takes roughly a week to go from one of these phases that only occurs once a synodic month to the next phase, or not the next phase, but to go from new moon to first quarter, about a week. From first quarter to full moon, about a week. From full moon to third quarter, about a week. From third quarter to new moon, about a week. And just to let you know, and I'm wrapping up this video, I'll say more about the project part 2. These ones right here, third quarter, and also waning crescent. That moon is the one that you see early in the morning, right? So that's actually much easier to, after the sun has risen, and sometimes you'll see the moon in the morning. That's the phase. All right. So that's not till much later in the semester. So right now you're just concentrating on, the first quarter, and then once around, right, to another first quarter.